Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you new here, my name is Donna, and for those of you not new, thank you so much for continuing to come back and support me. A quick little tidbit of information. I think if you've watched my channel, you heard that we bought a whole new slew of bathroom stuff and we're redoing our bathroom upstairs. Well, the bathroom upstairs is right next to me, right over there. And if you hear any kind of crazy noise, I will try and pause to make sure that it isn't in the video, but there are some noises that I'm not going to be able to pause through. So sorry if the noise offends you, but it's going to be there. So also we're waiting on pizza. So I'm going to try and do this quick. So anyways, my house is real loud these days, so it's been super hard to record at all. So here we are playing with the dancing sunlight in the room, so the lighting might be poop, but I'm sorry. I just really wanted to record. Okay. Welcome to my next installment in my Palette Roulette series. I think we are on 35, I think. Last week my app chose for me the Violet Voss Holy Grail Fun Size palette, and this is what it looks like. It is just a little tiny itty bitty, about the size of my hand palette. It is by Violet Voss, and you can get it at Sephora for $18. You open it up and it does have a nice size mirror, and then these are the shades in the palette. These are, like I said, about $18. They are on Sephora's website, and they're raking in a whopping 4.3 stars for their ratings, and there are like 260 something reviews on these palettes. So there are 7 different fun size palettes that Violet Voss came out with, and all of them are complementary to each other, so you can mix and match. They make a great little travel size palette because they are super small when you are in need of extra space or don't have the extra space when you're traveling. These are a good palette to have so that you can travel with them. They are, each of the 7 fun size palettes come with 10 different shades, and each of the 10 pans is 0.04 ounces of product, which is the same size as a ColourPop shadow. This one is the HG Fun Size palette, and it reminds me of the ABH Modern Renaissance palette. So I did a little fun thing, and I brought into this video my Modern Renaissance palette, which is right here. Do you see the similarities? Yeah. It also is the fun size of the regular Violet Voss Holy Grail, which I also brought into this video, and these are the palettes next to each other. So I really do feel like we have got shades in here that are the exact same in each of the palettes. This Wine and Dine and this shade here, I feel like are the exact same shade. Cranberry Splash and this one are the exact same. I feel like Glamping here and this one are the exact same. Anyways, I feel like this palette has the same shades in it as the Holy Grail full-size palette. So if you have the Holy Grail full-size palette, you don't need the fun size one. The fun size one I did get in an IPSY as an add-on, so I only spent, I think, $10 on it, so it's neither here nor there. But I did get a lot of use out of it this last week. As you guys can tell, there's quite a bit of usage going on. I did use all the shades in the palette. This one I used as a transition shade almost every single day. This one I would use as a transition shade, but I think it has a little bit of satiny feel to it, so I didn't use it quite as much as a transition shade. I did use it in my brow bone quite often. Today's eye look has this color, and this brown in it, and then this gold as well. I am pretty impressed with this eye look today, and I did it because my friend Nona asked me to do an orange red eye look. So I tried Nona. This is what it is. And it also kind of matches my dress. I don't know if you guys can see my dress, but the eye look definitely kind of goes with my dress. So there's that. So what I wanted to do for funsies is kind of match some of these shades also into the Modern Renaissance, so that you could see like what the difference in the shadows were between that palette and this palette, so that you know whether you really needed it or not. If you have the Modern Renaissance, which I think half of America does, then you maybe don't need it. That is that shade. And I feel like it is pretty similar to Love Letter or Venetian Red in the Modern Renaissance palette. So this is Love Letter here, and this is Venetian Red. It does have a little more berry to it than either one of those colors, but I do think that it is pretty much just as good. The lighting is kind of changing to this awful, like, warm tones. All right, so this color here, I don't think that you can find in the Modern Renaissance palette. I don't think you can really find this one either. This one here is very to its own. This one here kind of reminds me of Vermeer, but a little more pink. So this is the one in the Holy Grail Fun Size palette. And that is Vermeer, which is quite a bit more like champagne-y. This one's quite a bit more pink. So similar tones, but not the same at all. This brown here. And Cypress Umber from the Modern Renaissance are nothing alike. This is a little more red toned, and that is the one in the HG Fun Size, and this is Cypress Umber. So as much as they look alike, there is quite a bit of differences in each of these palettes. So when I first picked it up, I thought, this is just Modern Renaissance all over again. Let's take this orange shade right here, and we're going to pair it to Rilgar, which is this one right here. We're also going to pair it with Burnt Orange right here. And I think, so we have the one from the Holy Grail palette here, and then this is the Burnt Orange, and this is Rilgar. So not similar at all. The one in the Holy Grail Fun Size palette looks more like a pumpkin, whereas that scared me. It was a staple. The sun. Whereas Rilgar is very like burnt orange, and burnt orange is more like a creamsicle of sorts. And truly, the only other two colors that remind me of each other in these two palettes are these two shades here. These two last shades here remind me kind of these two shades here. But the one in this palette is a little more yellow toned on both accounts. So while you might think that they are very similar and look very much the same, they are actually quite different. But with that being said, I'm gonna scooch so I can put some pictures in here. I will say that this palette works a whole lot better with primer than it does without. I did find that when I wasn't using primer, the color really wasn't sticking to my eyes very well. It does work better with like a creamy, tackier primer than it does with like a primer that you have set, so make sure that you're not doing that. Today, for instance, I didn't use a primer, and the brown that is in my eye look on the outer corner of each eye, I really had to pack on there to get any kind of pigmentation from it, because it just didn't want to stick. It didn't want to stick to my eyes. It didn't want to go over the top of the other color. I do think it blends well into its own shades, but when I tried to play with other shadows with this palette, it didn't play well with friends. So there's that. There is quite a bit of fallout with the darker colors in this palette, and definitely with the shimmers in here. You definitely want to wet your brush with the shimmers in this palette, because otherwise you won't see them. One of my eyes, this one, I wet the brush on this eye, and this eye I didn't. And while you can still see that gold shimmer that's in there, it's just not as potent or as see-me as I would love for it to be. But despite all that, these shadows are really, really long-lasting shadows. I find that I can put them on at 5 o'clock in the morning and they still be on my eyes at 8 o'clock at night, which is fantastic. And there's very little movement in the shadows, as long as I'm using them in the fashion for which I told you they work better with. So a tacky primer that's not really set, and definitely setting spray on top. Again, that scared me. And definitely setting spray on top so that they really have a base to stick to. And then something on top that is keeping them there. So while I do feel like this is definitely a dupe for the Modern Renaissance, I don't feel like the shades are the same at all. There are some tonal differences. But again, as I said, if you have the Holy Grail palette, the big one, the Big Kahuna, you don't need the fun size one. But with that being said, there are 7 different palettes in the fun size series, and not all of them have bigger size palettes that they are stemming from, and there are quite a few that I would love to have. Violet Voss is one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas. I do like it. It is pigmented pretty much. This is the only one that I've really struggled with, as far as I can recollect, in making pigments stick to my eyes even without a primer. I'm typically not an eye primer person, so it's rough for me to have a palette in my collection that I absolutely have to use primer with, but there are some. So with that being said, that is all I have for you on the Violet Voss Holy Grail Fun Size palette, and we are going to choose our new palette for next week. Pizza is here. So for those of you new to my channel, I do have a Samsung Note 9, and in order to pull for a new palette in my Palette Roulette series, I use an app that I got from the Play Store called Decide Now, and it is just like a Wheel of Fortune wheel that I have placed all the palettes that I own into, and then I spin the wheel to pick a palette. As I have used palettes in this series, I have taken them out of my wheel, but as I get new palettes in my collection, I put them in. In a perfect world, we will be through these palettes exactly once. I have decluttered some throughout this series, but this really isn't a declutter series. It's just about using what I have, and I hope that you enjoyed watching it. This was inspired by another content creator. Her channel name is Danny Bow. Her name is Danny, and she is pretty amazing, and she did a palette a week series in which she used the same kind of app to choose a palette in which she would use for a week and then come back and tell you whether she was decluttering her palette or not. As I said, mine's not really a declutter series. It's just about getting some use out of my stuff. So I am going to go ahead and, if I can get my phone working for this. Why does it do this? All right, I am going to go ahead and spin the wheel, and we are going to choose the palette for next week. And we have the Huda Mauve Obsessions palette, which is kind of the same color scheme that we have had this time around, but let me go get that real quick. All right, this is the Huda Beauty Huda Beauty Mauve Obsessions palette, and this is what the outside looks like, and then this is the inside of this palette. So they kind of look, no, I guess they're not. I thought they were a little more similar than they actually appeared, but I haven't used this palette yet. I did get it in an IPSY as an add-on as well. I think I paid $10 for it as well, and I'm excited to use it. I love the Coral Obsessions one. I think we used that in a video not that long ago. I can attach that video in here, and I am excited to tell you my feelings on the Mauve Obsessions palette next week. I thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it enough that you're considering giving it a big thumbs up. It really does help our channels out here. I also hope that you liked it, or you liked me enough that you're considering subscribing to my channel. I do upload content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday or Sunday, depending on my work week. And sometimes there's some bonus videos in there, but you're for sure getting 3 videos a week. Typically they show up at 9 a.m., but sometimes that changes too. So please don't forget to hit that bell so that you're notified every single time I upload. What palettes are you guys using this week? I would be interested to hear how your palette roulette is going from those of you that are doing this with me. And again, thank you so much for joining me. Hope to see you guys in the comment section. And until next time, bye guys.